some random idiot needlessly, pointlessly attacking the vegan teacher.
I'm just going to go to McDonald's and have a Big Mac. You want me to watch her things? I'm not going to watch her things. I was considering watching it ironically. I don't know how you'd watch animal suffering ironically, but I was going to do it. But now because you said I should do it, I'm not going to do it no more.
Alright, welcome back to brand new upload, and today I'm making somewhat of a follow-up video to that ThatVeganTeacher situation I covered around a week ago, and I didn't really want to talk about the whole thing again, cause I kind of feel like some people are milking the entire situation to death. But the response from one certain creator made me decide to upload another video, as I do want to get some rather important points across. So my video on ThatVeganTeacher was probably one of the lightest out of all those made about her. I would say that I didn't just make fun of her and clown her for 15 minutes. Instead, I did actually try to focus on why she's harming the wider vegan community specifically, and how she's not an accurate representation of said community. Cause I could somewhat relate to her perspective, since at the core I hold the same beliefs as her to a certain extent. However, the way she went across forcing those beliefs on other people, that's where my main issue was. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. I'll have it linked in the description. Now, while the majority of people just made videos kinda clowning on ThatVeganTeacher, which I'm not saying you can't do, it's fine with me, I just think it doesn't really bring a point across. I actually cited 3 videos as good videos about ThatVeganTeacher, since I thought they supported a similar viewpoint as mine, and one of those 3 was a video by iNabber. iNabber is someone I have yet to make up my mind on completely. I do think he's rather hypocritical and definitely needs to address some things other than just claiming it was, quote, taken out of context. Yeah, I'd like to know which context justifies this, and I do think he should make his fans aware that he's playing a character in his videos, since everyone seems to think he's like this pure soul that has never done anything wrong, when it's like, nah, that's just how he acts on camera. But whatever, at the end of the day he makes a lot of decent, very informative videos, hence why I referenced it as an excellent video made on the situation. Now, another creator, Vegan Gains, made a 2-hour response video in which he talks so much BS and spreads so much misinformation about iNabber and ThatVeganTeacher that I just can't ignore it, man. I'm not here to slander Vegan Gains. There are a lot of aspects of his past I could go into, and he definitely made a lot of missteps, but I'm just here to argue against his iNabber ThatVeganTeacher video, since I feel like he's very similar to ThatVeganTeacher, not just because he's vegan, but in the fact that he has some very good core values that I agree with, but the way he's spreading these beliefs is also just very harmful. I know we as members of the vegan community shouldn't be putting each other down like that, but I just think he's approaching this entire thing completely the wrong way. So we are going to take a look at what he said in his video.
So, bullying by definition, seek to harm, intimidate, or coerce someone who is perceived as vulnerable.
So his entire argument on this stream/video is based on the fact that she doesn't bully LGBT people, since she herself is bisexual, and the video shouldn't be titled "She bullies LGBTQ members," and that's actually the only aspect where he's actually somewhat correct. I don't think iNabber should have titled this video "She bullies them." I do believe it doesn't count as bullying, it's more like she makes them feel bad about coming out, so he's actually somewhat justified here, but sadly it's only a downwards road from here.
Made the song.
We support you, but if you don't like oppression, why the fuck aren't you vegan yet?
Yeah, so she supports the LGBTQ, gay, lesbian groups of people.
So not only is this incredibly contradictory, since she first states to prevent oppression you need to go vegan, but later on she and Vegan Gains say vegan people are oppressed and discriminated against. We'll get to those clips later, but for now, even if you ignore that obvious contradiction, the problem with ThatVeganTeacher's connection to the LGBTQIA community is that in her mind, coming out as gay is entirely selfish and only okay if you're also a vegan. So if you decide to come out as a member of the LGBT community and you are also vegan, you are a good person in her mind, but if you're not vegan, you're a selfish piece of shit. That's the problem with her statement. She isn't really a supporter of that community, but I wouldn't go as far to say she's a bully or anything. But she's definitely not supportive, and this whole selfish thing.
That's just her own opinion, and I think it is pretty reasonable opinion, because yeah, if you're coming out as gay, bi, trans, whatever, you are essentially doing that for your own personal benefit. Coming out as gay or trans or bi, that is something that you do for your own benefit, whereas if you're coming out as vegan and you become an activist, that is something you do for someone else's benefit.
That's just so damn wrong, man. If you're coming out as gay, lesbian, trans, whatever it is, it takes a shit ton of courage to finally get that out of your chest, and it's not a selfish act. Please don't believe you're selfish for outing yourself. If you come out, you are at a risk of people not accepting you. Depending on the country you live in, it could literally be illegal. People might stop being associated with you because they don't support you anymore. You might be exposed to stereotypes and shit, and so much more can possibly result from you coming out. This is why a lot of gay people struggle with coming out. So no, it's not a selfish act. You're an idiot for claiming that. You have a lot of burdens put on you if you out yourself, so you're definitely not doing it for your own benefit. I also covered this in the first video, but coming out as vegan is obviously not the same thing as coming out as gay or as a lesbian, simply because it's a choice. It doesn't come with any real consequences, and you can stop being vegan at any given point. I elaborate more on that in my first video if you want more details about the whole thing.
Yeah, bro, she probably deleted this TikTok because absolute fucking morons like you were making up lies about her and encouraging your audience of sycophantic 12-year-olds to go harass her.
I find this to be an incredible double standard, since Vegan Gains literally insults and harasses this guy multiple times in his video just because he disagrees with him. Now, I'm not gonna say like, oh, she hasn't been getting hate or death threats and shit. She definitely gets massive amount of those, and I do think it's entirely wrong to threaten other people. It's almost never justified, and certainly not here, but I don't think iNabber contributes that much to it. He's one of the people that specifically told his viewers not to harass her, and his video actually features a lot of reasonable arguments instead of just making fun of her. And from what I've seen, his audience definitely seems a lot more mature, so I absolutely believe that other channels are the reason she's getting so much hate. I myself also specifically told people that saw my video to not go over there and harass her. So blaming that on iNabber is just completely far-fetched, man. You definitely can't be blaming him for that, especially when you constantly send hate to other people on your public Twitter. You are one of the most toxic and washed up creators on the platform because you're desperate to force your beliefs onto other people, which I can tell you is the completely wrong way to get your message across, mate. You are just going to be scaring people off by calling them out. You seem so delusional from an outsider's view. I know that feeling of wanting to get other people onto the vegan or vegetarian diet, but forcing it onto other people is entirely the wrong way to go about that, and people are just going to dislike you and think you are delusional or desperate or something, and this is why this never works.
Even assuming that she does prioritize animals over human beings, what is wrong with that?
Okay, listen, I am absolutely for stopping animal cruelty, completely, 100% in support of preventing any more abuse on animals, but when iNabber says that LGBTQ are more oppressed than he means in comparison to vegans and not animals, you can obviously criticize that he overlooks animals, but the problem with ThatVeganTeacher is that she would literally sacrifice human life for animals. In my initial video, I literally showed a clip where she shamed an African hunter for killing animals in order to feed his starving tribe. I mean, that's insane. You can always prioritize animals and be an activist for animal rights. However, if it gets to the point where human survival depends on eating animals, then at the end of the day you need to do it to save yourself. Obviously that's not gonna happen in Western countries, but in some third world countries in periods of drought it's simply inevitable. That's why you should never put animals over human survival. I mean, she's basically saying she would release the animals at the cost of the lives of the people working there. Still, that's just the extreme, but you're arguing with a woman that literally claims you need to be vegan and an animal rights activist in order to go to heaven. Otherwise you will burn in hell.
You automatically get a place in heaven once you're vegan. You gotta be vegan though. And actually it's a bit more complicated than that. You don't just have to be vegan. You have to be an animal rights activist.
Like, bro, I'm a fucking vegetarian. I love animals and the environment, but I would never go this far. Like, remember that famous passage in the Bible where Jesus comes up with the 10 rules of Christianity and says, yeah, so in order to get to heaven, first of all, fuck all these rules, man. The only way you'll get there is you have to be a vegan. So no eating meat ever. You know the Bible passages of me handing out fish and lamb to people? Yeah, all wrong. I never did that. You have to be an animal rights activist to get out of heaven. So no more of that praying to God and living the way of Christianity shit. All you gotta do is be an animal rights activist. In fact, you don't even have to be a fucking Christian according to my father, the Lord of Christianity himself apparently. Even fucking Gandhi, hardcore Buddhists or atheists will go to heaven if they happen to be vegan. Like, that's obviously not what fucking happened. There isn't a single mention of veganism in the Bible. You're delusional if you try to support any of that. So please don't fucking use the religion argument.
There are some people who choose to be activists for black rights primarily. There are people who choose to be activists for gay and trans rights primarily. There are feminists who just prioritize women's rights. That doesn't necessarily mean you're saying, oh, gay people matter more than black people, or black people matter more than trans people, or women matter more than every other group.
Normally it wouldn't, but in her mind that's clearly the case. I mean, again, like I literally said, she prioritizes animal life over human life. So of course she prioritizes veganism over anything else, and that is definitely a scary mindset to have. That's why iNabber's criticism here is rather justified.
So yeah, I think there's a lobby group in Belgium that's actually trying to prosecute vegan parents for feeding their kids vegan. And again, vegan children can be totally healthy. It's just absolute nonsense.
While you're sitting here on your chair bringing up this one country where you can be charged for not even being vegan, but for raising a vegan child, iNabber literally has this map up showing in which states you count as a criminal for being LGBTQ. So that's just not even close to comparable, man. You are being so disrespectful by comparing the two. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I know whether it is acceptable to raise a vegan child. I purposely avoided that question in my first video by saying, quote, I don't even know how to feel about parents that raise their child vegan, because I'm just some 16-year-old kid making mediocre at best videos and posting them on YouTube. In no way am I qualified to determine whether or not you can raise a vegan child, but what I do know from the research I did is that the problem lies in the supplements. If you are not offering milk or dairy products to your baby, it is being argued by dietitians that these needs can be supplemented. However, if you have a pair of parents that does not provide any supplements for their child, the kid is at risk for growth restriction as well as nutritional deficiency, hence on why the Belgian government decided to ban the upbringing of a vegan child. Again, I'm not qualified to verdict or determine judgment, but I can make the educated guess that according to this information, vegans are at risk with raising a completely vegan child if not supplemented correctly. Again, should it be banned or not, I can't judge that, but the Belgian government's decision is at least based on actual research and reasoning, while the LGBTQ ban is held on outdated religious beliefs. So no, vegans are not being suppressed the same way as gay, lesbian, trans people, etc. are.
I can tell you from my personal experience, I've actually been arrested by the police because I'm a vegan activist. They know me through my YouTube channel, and there was a leader, like some police captain, who found my YouTube channel. His whole office actually watches my YouTube channel. He found out about it. He didn't like me just because I'm vegan, and he sent a SWAT team over to my house. He literally swatted me.
Listen, man, if this actually happened, I am so sorry for you, and it's obviously a disgusting thing to do, and that policeman should lose his job, and you should definitely press charges. But if you are making such outlandish claims, you need to show at least a little bit of evidence to support your point. You're not showing any proof, and from what I could find on your channel as well as on the internet, there is no record of any such thing ever happening to you. Now, I could be wrong, and this could have happened. I'm open-minded to change my opinion on that, but you need at least some kind of evidence to back this whole thing up. He then goes on to show more proof that vegans are being discriminated against.
So there's actually unique issues with bias towards vegans and vegetarians because nobody gives a fuck. So it's like living in the 1930s with gay people. Nobody really cares about bias against gay people. Nobody cared about bias against gay people back then. You could call somebody a faggot and get away with it. Same with today with veganism.
1930 gay people. This man literally just said being vegan in 2021 is the same as being gay in 1930. Now, I personally never had any real trouble with discrimination, as he likes to call it, for being vegetarian. The most I had to suffer with were some minor jokes and stuff, and I know there were people that had it worse with their families and stuff, but in no way, shape or form is this small bias against vegans he argues for in the study anywhere near what happened to gay people in 1930. You are not being prosecuted for being vegan, you are not being imprisoned for going vegan, and you are not being sentenced to death for being vegan. So in no way is veganism now the same as being homosexual in the 1930s. Homosexuality was illegal in every country in the world except Uruguay, Denmark for 4 years until the Nazis came in and made it illegal again, and in this fucking island state I've never heard of where it's only legal for women. Perverted bastards. So like 2.25 countries at best. Everywhere else, you either got imprisoned or sentenced to death. Now, Vegan Gains, I would love for you to show me where the fuck vegans are being killed and imprisoned, cause if it's the same as in the 1930s, every country except like 2 or 3 would have to imprison vegans by law. You don't see that happening, do you? So stop saying stupid shit like that. You're not some kind of oppressed group. I, as a vegetarian, would certainly know if I was ever oppressed.
There were these weird propaganda films that were like shown at schools, where they they tell you to avoid gay people, they're dangerous. Similar kind of thing here.
My man, I don't know which fucking school you went to, but last time I checked, which is like a couple of days ago since I still go to school, I don't remember them teaching us that all vegans are evil and that we should stay away from them in some kind of weird propaganda film. In fact, there are vegan teachers and students in our school. Plus, you're literally talking about a vegan teacher in your fucking reaction video. A vegan teacher that forces her vegan beliefs onto her students and previously did the same to elementary kids, since she actually worked as a teacher. So how can you say that vegans are being oppressed in school? Your argument is so brain dead on multiple levels that I find it hard to even take it seriously. The furthest I would go is that many schools don't offer vegan lunch meals, and that sucks, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not some anti-vegan propaganda that they teach us in school. Yeah, Vegan Gains is not coming across as the brightest light in this video so far.
So here is a media source claiming that vegan activists assaulted some store owners. And then after the animal rights activist just said, hey, I have this on film, stop touching us, he goes over and attacks him too. So you have mainstream media flat out lying about vegans assaulting people.
Okay, 2 things. Firstly, mainstream media. What? I mean, he's right that the first video paints a completely different picture, but how in the hell do you call this mainstream media? It's a channel with 1k subs. Fucking Playmate Tessie has more than that. This is clearly just some biased small channel. It's not credible at all. I mean, the video after that has like 30 views, and the channel also offers masterpieces of journalistic work like Shark Video. So this is clearly nobody's go-to mainstream media source. And secondly, you'll see this a lot with Vegan Gains, but whenever someone gets attacked, in his mind, the attack happened because that group or person is a vegan. When realistically, the attacker in most cases didn't even know that they were vegan, and they just coincidentally happened to be vegan. Like with the his house allegedly getting swatted thing, if it actually happened, although there is zero evidence to support that claim, then it's because he's vegan. There isn't any other possible reason for that in his mind. From his point of view, if you get randomly robbed or something, it probably also happened because you were targeted, not for living in a mansion or some shit. Nah, it's because you happen to be vegan. Yeah, of course that's fucking wrong. Now, in this case, they obviously knew they were vegan, but they attacked them because they were protesting. They obviously shouldn't do that, but it's just how a lot of people sadly react to demonstrations, especially in this pandemic, when you are supposed to not gather. So I believe the confrontation would have taken place regardless of what they were protesting for. And then he goes on to state the reasoning on why iNabber makes these videos in his mind.
So now we've discovered what this is about. He's jealous. He's jealous that vegan teacher is getting more views and likes than he does. That's what this is. And now he's just trying to attack her because he's jealous that she's being successful on her social media platforms.
I'm embarrassed to be part of the same community as you. I mean, how childish can you be? I'm sure iNabber, who is way more successful than ThatVeganTeacher, in terms of being, actually liked by anyone and being able to profit off his content, only makes videos because he's jealous of ThatVeganTeacher. Come on, man, that's such a childish argument. Grow up.
What's his argument that you can't switch to being vegan overnight? What is his argument? What, if you stop eating meat right away, are you gonna fucking explode? I did that. I stopped eating meat and dairy and all animal products cold fucking turkey.
So this is the last clip I just want to briefly speak on, but I did actually cover the aspect of going vegan overnight in my first video, and I still believe just because you were able to do it, which is like fantastic, I applaud to you, my brother, that still doesn't mean that everybody is able to cut meat, fish and dairy out of their diet overnight. And you need to be able to accept that, otherwise you're going to scare more people off by your insensitive, inconsiderate and often childish behavior, which you decide to portray on social media. And that's the sole reason you are just as harmful to the vegan community overall than ThatVeganTeacher, except for the fact that your relevancy is nowhere near hers. So in conclusion, this video made by Vegan Gains about iNabber is just full of shit. I really do feel bad about arguing against the other vegans, but I just had to say it because his arguments were clearly completely biased and didn't make any sense at all. And he was also just acting so incredibly disrespectful that I did have to criticize it a little bit. So at the end of the day, it's kind of similar to my last video on the vegan teacher, but this time more with a focus on the whole vegan phobia and being oppressed thing. So please don't think vegans are being oppressed or anything. That's just some bullshit claim that he makes up. I mean, come on, you can't really compare veganism now to 1930s homosexuality. I mean, that's just complete and utter bullshit. I'm sorry, man. Okay, that's the end of the video now, guys. Please let me know what you thought about this whole situation in the comment, and I also really appreciate a like and a sub if you haven't already. It helps out the channel a lot. And yeah, make sure to stay safe, and we'll see each other next video.